Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Now that my 2 informative videos are done for the day, it's time to talk about current events in the online fitness community. A lot of times in this segment I use it to trash talk people who need it in this community. Today I'm not going to do that. Well, I'm not going to do that about the main person we're talking about, Trucc. Actually, I came across something he said that I've really agreed with very, very strongly. Actually, I kind of like it. It made me actually gain a degree of respect for the guy that I didn't have. I actually appreciated it. But we'll get to that in a minute, because it's time to put on my +5 out of weaponsmithing first. Work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and I am going to bash some people in this video, but it's not going to be Trucc. It's not going to be Trucc. Because I think he's doing something positive in the community. You know, everyone does a bit of good and bad. I don't care who you are. All of us do some good and we do some bad mixed together. From what I can see so far, he does more good than bad. So, makes him a positive influence. Makes him a positive influence. And a lot of you out there would love to see him and I shoot it out. I know you guys would love to see us shoot it out. I don't see that happening. Because you know what? Never disrespected me, and I don't see a reason to disrespect him. I just don't see a fight happening. Just not the sort of guys that I don't think either one of us really are. We don't really start fights that don't need to be started. So I kind of came across this because I haven't seen much of his stuff. I've seen maybe 2 or 3 videos of his over the years. 2 or 3, and obviously I've learned about him when he popped Rich Piana in the mouth. That's when I learned about him. That was my first introduction to the man. Of course, he comes through comments in my videos every now and then. I hadn't really watched much of his material, but some people directed to me that he and Blaha had a little bit of a beef, a little bit of a problem going on. That again, he didn't start. That Mark felt the need. And we're going to call him Blaha from now on instead of Pocket Liner. I think Blaha matches a lot better. And of course, Mac is calling him, what was he calling him, Lube Liner? Whatever. Something like that. They have a little bit of a beef that Mark started. Mark was accusing him of some nonsense about stealing his logo when, you know, very clearly the logo is the only thing they have in common is there's an M in it. Well, you know, I mean, if you're going to have a logo with letters in it, you've only got 26 letters to pick from. You know, statistically, Machine, Mac, they both start with an M. I'm just not seeing it. Not seeing it. Well, you know, that's what happened. And here's the thing. While we're on the topic of Mark, a couple different things going on with Mark. See, Mark, that's the thing. You really shouldn't have messed with me. You shouldn't have started with all that fake Merc crap. Allowing employees and friends of yours to jump up and say it and pop off with all that stuff, because I got a little bit of intel on you. I'm not going to get into all the details right now, but Mark, this will be directed at you. If you don't think that I have intel on you, what's going on with Tiger Fitness and the FDA right now? What's happening there, bud? Somebody called the FDA on you? The FDA is harassing you guys behind the scenes? What's going on? What's up with that? You having fun with that? Also, Mark, I happen to know why you've been going through marriage counseling with your lovely wife. I happen to know quite a bit about it. Seems like you and your butt buddy Lane Norton have a few things in common. It's not just branched chain amino acids, if people get my drift. And I might even know who other parties involved in that are. We'll worry about that later. Worry about that later, because right now we're going to talk about Trucc. Because I saw another video, because it actually had my name in. I believe that was the one that he said this in. And Trucc said, real men hit iron. Or I believe it was weights. Real men hit weights, not women. I like that. I like that, because that's something I've talked about in the past on here. It is about being a man and what men have represented historically. Because I do believe there's a difference between men and women, and I think there is a concerted effort to kill masculinity. I believe that male values, while socially reinforced, I do believe they are genetic. And I don't think this varies around the world. I think basic male characteristics and social roles of men are traditional, and I think they cross ethnic, racial, and cultural lines. I think it's the same everywhere. And that's that men, real men, live by a code. All right? Real men, at least within their tribe, they're the warriors. They're the protectors of the women, the children, and the sick of the tribe, the weak. They protect the weak. I'm not saying women are all weak, but generally speaking, men are stronger than women. Men protect the women of the tribe. They're teachers, they're mentors, they're hunters. All right, that's the traditional roles of men, and that comes back to protectors. Men protect the women of the tribe. Historically, sometimes it hasn't always applied to people outside of their group, other tribes down the road, but at least their own. Men protect the women, and that includes protecting the women from the other men in the tribe. All right, that's part of the code of being a man. And I agree with him. Real men do not need to raise their hand to a woman. Real men are strong, and a strong man will have the respect of his woman without having to resort to physical violence. She'll respect his strength. She will respect him as a man, and she wouldn't do things that are going to create that situation. And a real man knows that if his woman isn't going to behave in a way that's going to work for their relationship, whatever that relationship happens to be, he walks away. Doesn't put his hands on her. And I'm generally of that opinion. It is unacceptable for a man to hit a woman. And that's the whole point. Strong men do not need to hit women. All right, weak-ass men hit women. Little boys, man-childs, they hit women. Men don't do that. Real man knows he doesn't need to do that. In fact, a real man knows that you cherish a woman. If you have a woman who's valuable to you, you cherish her. You don't abuse her. You don't harm her. You don't hit her physically. You don't beat her up psychologically. You don't abuse her verbally. All right? You don't do that. Because if you have a good woman and you're a strong man, she's going to respect you, and you're going to respect her. And that is unacceptable. And by that same token, you sure don't go around hitting random women. And I like that, though, because he's going back and he is talking to young men. We've got a whole generation of young men who, because of absent fathers, because of social roles changing, this whole idea that men or women are the same in every way, and that masculinity is dead. Well, part of masculinity is what I just described, knowing that it is a man's job to protect women. Of course, we have a lot of women who don't behave as ladies either, do they? We talk about men being men being gentlemen. Well, a lot of women don't behave as ladies anymore either. You know, and I understand that point. A lot of guys will say, well, they don't want to act like women. I don't want to treat them like one. I understand the sentiment, but I still disagree. That does not change your obligation as a gentleman or your job as a real man. It doesn't change those things. And we have someone like Mac who's standing here saying this. And, you know, some people say, well, you know, Mac's got kind of a sordid past. You know what? That seems to be in his past. This is not like, guys, there are people who have some of these pasts who they brag about it as if it's a positive thing. I don't see him bragging about it. I see him saying, well, he doesn't ever want to go back to jail. It looks to me, he's like a guy who's got a wife. He's got kids he cares about. He's trying to be a father. He's trying to be a husband. Right? This is not a guy who's running around trying to do stupid stuff and go back to jail. This is a guy who's probably trying to set a good example for his own children. And it looks like the way that he's talking to young men, he's trying to say, hey, don't make the mistakes I made. Be a better man than I was when I was still a boy, trying to learn to be a man. All right? I'm a man now. This is how a man behaves. This is what a man does. Don't do the dumb stuff I did when I was still a boy. And I respect that. I respect that. We need to see a hell of a lot more of that. So, you know, whatever preconceived notions I may have had about Mac over past stuff or whatever, talk of gang stuff, of having been involved with gangs and different things in the past, what I can see from what he's doing now is that he's trying to turn that around. He's trying to set an actual, real positive example. And I think because he is jacked, he is buff, he does lift, a lot of young men are going to look up to him. All right, there are going to be young men who see that and will see him as a role model. And I think he is doing something positive there, because that's one of the things we have. We got a lot of young men who do turn to weights because they want to be strong. They understand that they're not men yet. They understand that they're little boys, but at least they realize gaining some physical strength and some physical prowess is masculine. That's something that will help them become more of a man. And so they will look to other guys. And what happens? You know, we have guys like Rich Piana, and, you know, and I'm not going to go into this a lot because people are going to say he can't defend himself. He's dead. And that's true. That's why I'm not going to harp on it a whole lot. Because there are two sides to every story, and he is not around to tell his side. He's not here to defend himself. But there are allegations that I have heard firsthand, that I have spoken to multiple women who I have confirmed have been in his life, who have said he was physically abusive, that he hit them. It's not just one. So you guys can think whatever you want about that. It's been multiple women and other people who were witnesses to it. I've spoken to at least one other person who has witnessed him physically hit a woman. Now that's a guy Mac Trucc hit. That's why I don't have a big problem with him popping him. You know, goes around, comes around. But the thing is, you know, we had guys like Rich, who was a role model to over 1 million guys, had over 1 million subscribers. He walking around hitting women, allegedly. Allegedly. You know, that's a problem, because a lot of young men are trying to learn to be men. They're seeing guys who lift. They're looking up to them as role models. And if these guys are hitting women, what's that telling them? They don't know how to be a man. They only know what they see stronger men teach them. So, conversely, we have Mac over here, strong guy, saying, hey, real men hit weights, not women. I think that's a powerful message. That's a message I approve of. That's a message I have said, not quite in those terms, but have implied in the past. So I appreciate that. I actually appreciate that him with his growing channel, because he is growing. He's up to, what, about 20,000 subs? He's growing. He's coming along. That he's putting that message out. I think a lot of these guys who are getting into the gym, who are trying to learn to be strong, who are trying to work on their confidence, they're trying to learn how to be men. They're trying to learn how to deal with women, have a strong male role model who's telling them, you don't put your hands on a woman. You're not if you're a real man. We need that. We need guys saying that. All right, we need guys saying that. So that's a good thing. And you know, again, me sitting here, hearing those words come out of his mouth, seeing a guy trying to be a positive male role model, it changed any preconceived prejudices that I might have had. Okay, because we all have things. We see certain sides to different people. We all do, and we tend to judge people to some extent based upon first impressions till we get to know more about them. And I have seen him say other things that made me say, okay, he's not really a bad guy. He's not a bad guy. But then he said that, and I saw him talking about trying to legitimately be a positive role model to young men, and to say things like that. Okay. That absolutely changed and undid any initial preconceptions I had. It undid them right there. And I think that's the interesting thing, you know, of judging a book by its cover, you know, because we hear things about people, about other people secondhand. We get first impressions of people, maybe taken out of context, without understanding what they're about. without taking a little bit of time to figure out what they're actually about, to look a little bit deeper, ourselves. And that was a case of that. And I might have initially misjudged him. In fact, I'll go on ahead and say I did. I misjudged him. I judged a book by its cover. So I apologize for that, Mac, if I may have done that. You actually seem to be a good dude. You actually seem to be an all-around good dude. And I can respect what it is you're trying to do. I see you trying to be a positive male role model to these young men. I see you promoting lifting. I don't see you conning people out of money, ripping people off like 2/3 of the guys in this industry are con men. Don't see you doing that, because you're selling. There's nothing wrong with selling T-shirts and merchandise. If people are a fan of yours and they want to buy your shirts or coffee cups or whatever, that's fine. That's fair business. That's an ethical business practice. I can't fault that. So, I mean, and I could be wrong. There could be other stuff going on that I don't know about. But now the little bit I've seen, I just really appreciate the fact that you have a strong, older man, more mature man, telling these young men to go lift weights and not hit women, and telling them that they are not a real man if they hit women. I applaud that. I applaud that. And I do find it funny that he went ahead and he knocks Loblyer's dick in the dirt a little bit, because Mark needs a little more of that. In fact, Mark looks like he's a little bit scared. He does look scared, because he said he's going to quit doing his live Q&As because he offends people with what he says. Because he might have said that to Mac too quick, and he's worried he offended Mac, so he's going to quit doing the live Q&As. I think he's a little bit scared. Well, it is what it is. I'll keep watching to see how that beef turns out, and I will eventually talk about some of this other stuff with Mark in due time. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.